Hey everyone, Gunnar Peterson here with a really special session in MWI's behavioral video series. Today we finish up our video series on heart health and answer your top questions about nutrition and weight. The majority of folks participating in the Texas pilot program are looking for ways to improve their nutrition and weight. As this is foremost on your minds, we wanted to address the top questions you have about this important topic. And it's important too that in the US, the top chronic health condition is obesity. It's followed by hypertension, diabetes, and COPD. Joining us today, we have Dr. Philip Goglia, certified nutritionist for over 30 years and a good friend. So let's jump into the top questions and issues you sent us over the past 5 weeks. How did you get involved in nutrition and wellness?
No, I was a fat kid.
Same.
Yeah, overweight. I was worried about my identity, being
Same.
fat and everything.
Or did I ask these to
As
myself, or am I
where to
asking
go?
you?
No,
Yeah. Okay,
seriously,
go
it was
ahead.
a mirror.
Go ahead.
No, I was overweight, right? Fat, 3-time cancer survivor. I had a wrestling coach at a private school back in Boston, Massachusetts, who said, you have to wrestle. You were way too short and way too fat to play basketball. So I started wrestling.
He's not wrong about that.
I lost every match I wrestled for the first few years. And then finally I won one, and Coach Subi, my wrestling coach, said, how'd that feel? And I'm like, felt pretty good. He says, you should think about that. And that's how the whole thing started.
So on a bigger 10,000 foot view, why do you think nutrition and weight are so important and just on the forefront of everyone's mind?
I think that so many people are actually having a redefinition of what self-care is. So take baby boomers, for example. Self-care was going out and working hard, having a great party, eating your food, going out to fancy restaurants, and in the process gaining weight. I think we've changed that definition now. I think self-care is more about how do we maintain our fitness, and then what can we do outside of the house as far as physical activity is concerned.
So now they're not going out for drinks, they're trying to drink from the fountain of youth.
Right,
Yeah.
they're going out for drinks, but they're drinking water and green tea. So I think that the evolution of fitness and managing your weight is really built around kind of a new identity for what self-care is. Self-care isn't getting a pack of cigarettes anymore. Self-care is, did I eat my chicken breast? And am I drinking enough water? And did I exercise today?
It's more like now it's a little less about getting stuff and more about doing stuff.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I see that.
Doing.
I'm going to take a question from the MWI community. I've heard it's important to maintain calorie intake to support the working out, but how do you balance that with the diet while you're trying to lose weight?
Well, I think that's a definition of diet, right? So when you hear the word diet, you think caloric restriction. But in athlete world, when you say diet, that means something totally different.
Right, so to the first group of people, they hear it and they think, what don't I get, what can I have less of, versus
How do I restrict?
Or yes, but the other group thinks, what can I eat? What am I supposed to eat?
How do I repair?
Yeah.
How do I repair so I can train again?
Right.
So it's kind of a civilian versus athlete question. So ask a civilian what diet means to them. They say, oh, caloric restriction, I don't get to eat anything but a tomato and a can of tuna. And then you ask them, how's that working for you, by the way? And then the civilian goes, well, I gotta be honest, I'm trying to do those 20 hours of cardio a week, but I am so sore.
Right.
I'm wicked bloated. I'm not sleeping. I'm so moody. But if you ask the athlete, all right, tell me about diet. They'll say, man, I'm eating so much food, it's crazy. And then the civilian guy says, I don't get it. How do you do that? The athlete guy says, look, when you train, you break down muscle tissue. That's a catabolic event, right? You break it down, you get sore. That's our job for training, to make people sore. At that,
Guilty.
there you go.
That's what I do.
At that point, you tell your client,
I am a walking catabolic event.
catabolic event. That's awesome. So you do that, but at the same time, you're saying, but remember, your training doesn't stop when you leave the gym. It continues on. You want to stick a wedge in that event, and you want to get to an anabolic event where the tissue repairs. The wedge is your nutrition, hydration, and recovery like sleep. If it's the wrong type of wedge, like if you're eating high carbs, but maybe you're more of a fat and protein guy, if the wedge isn't big enough calorically, you remain catabolic and you waste. And yeah, you lose some weight, but you just lost the wrong stuff.
And you can only maintain a catabolic event for a certain amount of time before everything just breaks down.
Everything falls apart, and it promotes inflammation. And then ultimately, it'll promote fat gain.
Or sick or injury.
Exactly. So you figure slightly larger than your fist is about 5 pounds of muscle. 4 times your fist is like 5 pounds of fat. The goal really with any healthy food programming, take up less room in the room, weigh as much as you can.
All right, I'm going to take another question from the community. MWI asks, I'm 47 and I know my hormones are not what they used to be. How do nutrition, hormones, and weight play together?
Well, as you get older, your hormones start to shift, so it's even more important that your dietary patterns are really spot on. So remember, your cholesterol is based within your hormonal structure, so it's important to manage your lipids, like your LDLs, your bad guy fats, right? Your HDLs, your good guy fats, and your triglycerides, kind of an indicator of how you utilize sugars. So your diet should be balanced so that it ultimately helps you manage your cholesterol levels, all those different ratios of those fats that float around in your bloodstream. And in doing so, the process creates a balance of hormones. But if you start to shift with the hormonal patterning, like for instance guys, we start to lose testosterone. Even women, their estrogen levels shift, progesterone levels change, testosterone levels drop in women as well. And at that point, our bodies want to hoard a bit more fat. So it's even more important that we're really on the dietetic point. So you want to maintain your foods, increase your water intake, and then hope that that improves hormonal structures.
One of my best quotes that I paraphrase you, it's from you, for everybody who trains with me is, water runs the show. I love that. It's such an easy one. When you go to water, do I need more water? Yes, you need more water, it runs the show.
Look, hormones as we get older are volatile little guys. And then you say, okay, well, what are my concerns? Well, inflammation is your concern, primary concern as we get older. Okay, so dietetically, what can we do to manage inflammation? No yeast, no mold, no gluten, no dairy. So what does that mean? No yeast, no mold, no gluten. That means no breads, muffins, bagels, Hoyt breads, sandwich breads, multi-ingredient starches that inflame us. So focus on one ingredient starches, like potato, rice, yams, oatmeal, oat flakes, oat puffs, one ingredient guys. Those should be your starch pals. And then as well, the whole dairy conversation. It inhibits oxygen use, promotes phlegm and mucus, that's fun, and it promotes gastric heat and inflammation. There's no dairy in fitness for us.
So real quick, that's a no then?
I'm thinking that's a no, except assuming you're pregnant. Let's say you get pregnant.
I'm not.
Yeah, but if you are. So pregnancy, lactation, bone density issues, even to a point eating disorders. Yes, dairy has its place, but in performance nutrition, it doesn't.
So another community question. MWI community asks, do you recommend having a blood panel done to get a specific diet plan?
I love that question because that's what we do in our clinic. Here's the thing. I love the blood panel conversation. The blood panel is a lipid profile. So you ask your doctor for a lipid profile, or you look at your labs and you get your lipid profile, which is a total cholesterol, HDL, LDL, triglyceride level, and then the ratio between your HDL and total cholesterol. Now, why would you get that panel? You would get that panel because you want to look at the ratios between these numbers. If you've got very low HDLs, very high LDLs, why on earth would you start a high-fat, high-protein food program? But maybe your friend Pete or Pauline have decided to start an Atkins-esque food program, right? High-fat, high-protein. But within their family background, they've got a history of very low HDLs, very high LDLs. Why would you start a high-fat, high-protein food program if you can't manage it? So not a good choice for them. They're better off with more of a high-carbohydrate food pattern. So look at your HDLs, look at your LDLs, and look at your triglyceride fats, which is an indicator of how you manage sugars. So in the balance of training and foods, it has to be exactly that, like a balance. It's a dance.
Here's another question from the MWI community. I've lost 60 pounds, but I've been stuck for several months now and I can't seem to lose any more. I was on a low carb diet and I want to lose 25 more pounds, but I feel like I've hit a plateau.
Let's say you're on an appropriate food pattern for you, right, metabolically speaking, and you've lost 45 pounds on this thing. At some point, that food program is going to match your body composition, like your macronutrients, your fats, proteins, and carbs, and your calories in.
Right.
At some point, we'll find homeostasis and balance based on your current body composition. So now you will plateau. Doesn't mean you're broken. It just means that the foods you're on
match it.
Match who you are.
I get that.
So now I want to change. New foods, new body composition. New foods, new body composition. Generally speaking, the life of a food program is about 7 to 10 days. You want a different body composition, got to change up your foods.
Same in exercise.
Same in exercise. Increase your protein pattern. add a little bit more carbohydrate to your lunch and your breakfast. Don't be fearful of calories in.
Doc, I've known you for years and I still have more questions, so I'm sure the MWI community has more, but right now I'm going to call it there. We're going to take this information, digest it,
nice,
and put it to use, because if people take the information, apply it to their own lives, then they'll start to see, and they'll start to do their own dance and figure out what works, what doesn't work, try some new things, phase out some things that definitely don't work, and get better every day, because to me that's what it's all about.
Awesome. Keep it simple.
Yeah. You've got some great tools to track what you eat and to help you be a smart eater. Eating right is key in helping you reach your weight goals. Just remember, every little step counts and every little action helps, so keep it up. This wraps up MWI's behavioral video series, and I think the topic is a great one as we celebrate Thanksgiving Day on the 24th. I hope you'll enjoy the holiday and keep what you learned about nutrition and weight in mind. My final workout on this series is waiting for you on MWI's Facebook page. Don't leave it hanging. And do work out on Thanksgiving Day. How could you not? That'll help counter the calorie count. And while this is the last video, I'm asking you to continue the conversation. The MWI community is a great way to share resources, stories, and insights on what works for you. Please continue posting to MWI's Facebook page. You've made MWI what it is so far, and we know you'll continue to carry the ball and support each other. This marks the end of our journey together for me. I've had a great time with you, and I hope you've gotten a lot out of the video series. I'm honored and I'm thankful to be a part of this special community. I wish you all the best.